Welcome back to Scorpio Moon Astrology. Today we're looking at Mars entering the sign of Gemini on June 28th, 2026, and how this shift may influence communication, decision-making, and the choices that shape our path forward. We'll also explore Mars's upcoming connections with Uranus, Hecate, Pluto, and the lunar nodes, and why this transit may feel like a journey through a series of important crossroads. Let's dive in. On June 28th, 2026, at approximately 4 p.m. Eastern, Mars leaves the steady fields of Taurus and enters Gemini, bringing a noticeable shift in how we take action, pursue our goals, and express ourselves. Mars is the planet of action, courage, desire, passion, and drive. At its highest expression, Mars helps us blaze new trails, stand up for what matters, and take decisive action when life calls for courage. It is the spark that gets us moving when fear would rather keep us still. Like every planetary archetype, Mars also has a shadow side. Courage can become aggression, passion can become conflict, determination can become recklessness. Mars can inspire a warrior fighting for a cause or a person creating battles where none need exist. For the past 6 weeks, Mars has been moving through Taurus, a sign associated with stability, persistence, comfort, and practicality. Taurus prefers steady progress over impulsive action. It wants to build something lasting rather than chase every new possibility. That changes quickly when Mars enters Gemini. Gemini is curious, adaptable, communicative, and constantly gathering information. Where Taurus asks us to stay with what we know, Gemini encourages us to ask questions, explore new ideas, and consider multiple perspectives. The pace accelerates, conversations multiply, information flows faster. This shift moves the focus from physical action to mental action. Instead of asking, "What can I build?" Mars in Gemini asks, "What can I learn? What can I say? What happens if I try something different?" The challenge, of course, is that Gemini can become scattered. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every argument requires your participation. Not every opinion needs an immediate response. What makes this ingress especially interesting is that Mars is not entering an empty sign. Within days of entering Gemini, Mars begins moving toward a conjunction with Uranus at 3 degrees Gemini. Uranus is the planet of disruption, innovation, awakening, and sudden change. Together, Mars and Uranus can feel electric. Surprising news, unexpected developments, flashes of insight, and a desire to break free from stagnant situations may become difficult to ignore. A conversation could change your perspective. A piece of information could alter your plans. An opportunity may appear where you weren't looking for one. Uranus rarely asks permission before introducing change, but it often reveals exactly what has outlived its usefulness. The urge to speak up may become stronger than the urge to stay comfortable. At the same time, Mars enters Gemini while forming a square to the lunar nodes. Squares to the nodes often represent crossroads moments, times when we can no longer remain suspended between possibilities. The South Node in Virgo seeks certainty, analysis, and perfection. It wants to gather more information, refine the plan, and make sure every detail is correct. The North Node in Pisces asks us to trust intuition, surrender control, and accept that not every answer can be known in advance. This creates a tension many of us know well. Part of us wants one more answer, one more sign, one more piece of information before making a decision. Mars in Gemini seems less interested in debating the question than in acting on it. Eventually, information demands a decision. Adding another layer to this story is asteroid Hecate in Pisces. In mythology, Hecate was the goddess of crossroads, thresholds, and liminal spaces. She carried torches and stood at places where one road became many. Hecate appears in moments when we are leaving one chapter behind but have not fully entered the next. She reminds us that every doorway eventually asks us to step through it. As Mars moves deeper into Gemini, it approaches a square to Hecate, while simultaneously forming a powerful trine to Pluto in Aquarius. This creates a fascinating sequence. First comes Uranus, the awakening. Something changes, something is revealed. A conversation begins, an idea arrives, a truth can no longer be ignored. Then comes Hecate, the crossroads. A choice must be made, a path must be selected. We may not have every answer we want, but remaining frozen between possibilities becomes increasingly difficult. Finally comes Pluto. If Hecate presents the doorway, Pluto asks whether we are willing to walk through it. Pluto asks for commitment. Transformation requires participation. We cannot become something new while holding on to everything that came before. At some point, every meaningful change requires us to choose. With Pluto moving through Aquarius, the sign associated with collective movements, social networks, technology, and the power of communities, individual choices may ripple outward into something larger than ourselves. What begins as a conversation could become a commitment. What begins as an idea could become a project. A project could become a business, a movement, a creative calling, or a new direction that changes far more than you originally intended. There is also an important relationship between Uranus and Pluto in this chart. Uranus rules Aquarius, the sign Pluto now occupies. The disruption represented by Uranus and the transformation represented by Pluto are not separate stories. They are chapters in the same story. The awakening leads to the choice leads to the transformation. For some people, this transit may bring difficult but necessary conversations. For others, it may inspire the courage to launch a project, ask an important question, advocate for a cause, speak an uncomfortable truth, or finally say what has been left unsaid. It may be choosing between two opportunities. It may be deciding which future deserves your time and energy. It may simply be recognizing that standing still is no longer an option. Of course, the shadow side remains present. Gemini's gift of communication can easily become argument, gossip, information overload, or speaking before thinking. Mars in Gemini can be brilliant and courageous, but it can also be reactive and impulsive. The invitation of this transit is not simply to speak louder, it is to speak with intention. As Mars moves through Gemini over the coming weeks, pay attention to where you feel called to use your voice. Notice the conversations that energize you, the ideas that refuse to leave your mind, and the situations where silence no longer feels like an option. Pay attention to what keeps showing up. The conversation you can't stop having. The opportunity that keeps reappearing. The idea that won't leave you alone. The choice you've been postponing. The crossroads is not arriving because you lack information. The crossroads arrives because eventually information demands a choice. And once that choice appears, the question becomes very simple. What are you willing to stand behind? Curious how this transit will affect you personally. Mars activates a different area of life depending on where Gemini falls in your natal chart. If you'd like a deeper look at your natal Mars placement and how it shapes your drive, ambition, courage, and conflict style, my planetary snapshot reports can help you explore the story of Mars in your own chart. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear how Mars in Gemini is showing up in your life and where you're feeling called to speak up, take action, or choose a new direction. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep looking up.